From the Ear to There Travel Studio, this is the Ear to There Disney Podcast.
The Ear to There Podcast, it's time to start the show. Be sure to hold on tight, here we go. Exploring all the different Disney destinations. Ear to There, it's time to start the fun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ear to There Disney Podcast. I'm your host, Phil Gramlich. I am also the owner and the operator of Ear to There Travel, which is a Disney-specialized travel agency. It's my job to take away all that stress, all of that anxiety, and all that time that it takes to plan a Disney trip so you can focus on the fun things like having a great time with your family and friends and enjoying the magic. And just so you know, I take away all of that time that it takes. I take away all that anxiety and I take away all of that stress at absolutely no extra cost to you. So that's right, I'll handle your hotel reservations, your dining reservations, fast passes, special event tickets, transportation, everything, all of that stuff, absolutely at no extra cost. Think of me as the Vanellope von Schweetz to your Wreck-It Ralph. I know everything there is to know, well, almost everything there is to know. There's always something to learn about Walt Disney World, just like Vanellope knew everything there was to know about Candy Crush. And I will help you navigate that world and have a phenomenal time, just like Vanellope did for Ralph. Except in your case, it will be Walt Disney World, and in Ralph's case, it was Candy Crush. Okay, that was a good analogy in my head, but I think you know what I'm talking about. You can find this podcast, my blog, or request a free, yes, free, once again, no obligation quote over at ear2theretravel.com. All right, this is episode number 111 for the week of February 19th, 2018. Now, as Vanellope says, don't be a diaper baby, grab a drink, grab a snack, and as a famous mouse once said, on with the show. And of course, before we get the show started, it is time for the What About Bob segment of the show. Each week, I have Disney legend and retired Imagineer Bob Gurr come on the show to answer one of your questions. If you don't know who Bob is, let me tell you what he did. Bob, and does to this day, Bob created such awesome classic attractions as the Matterhorn, both monorails in both Disneyland and Walt Disney World, the Doom Buggies, which are the ride vehicles in the Haunted Mansion, the Autopia, the Tomorrowland Speedway. I could just go on and on. So Bob built all of that. And if you have a question for Bob, you can call the voice line. The phone number for that is 267-551-1971. Or you could always feel free to email me the question at phil@ear2theretravel.com. And every week, the What About Bob segment of the show is brought to you by the Waltland Bus Tour. So each and every month, Bob takes a group of people around Southern California, including stops in Los Angeles, in Burbank, and in Glendale. They go to all of these important spots in the history of the Disney company, and in particular in the history of its founder, the one, the only Walt Disney. If you're interested and you would like to get tickets for the Waltland Bus Tour, just head over to www.waltland.com. All right, here is Disney legend Bob Gurr.
It's What About Bob? Bob Gurr, the legend, creator of the Matterhorn, the monorails in the Haunted Mansion. What about Bob, the Disney legend?
Okay, Bob, this one is from my friend Liz Patel from North Carolina, and she wants to know, why wasn't the monorail in Walt Disney World ever expanded? And would it be possible to expand the monorail now?
I think the reason it was never expanded in Walt Disney World was that by the time we built, I think we built six-car trains originally, in the original batch of trains for the 71 opening. And then there was discussion for a very, very long time about adding monorail over to Epcot, which, of course, they went ahead with. And then I think we built another 4 trains, so we wound up with 10. And then this discussion just kept going on and on and on. And every year they just simply bought more and more diesel buses. General Motors was selling a lot of the buses, some pretty good-looking buses. And then as time went on, they bought junkier and junkier-looking buses, that weren't very pretty. And then by that time, everybody gave up on, we'll never get monorail, because by that time, the expense of putting in a monorail system just became really, really expensive. So the monorail turns out to be one of those dream things in America that everybody thinks, the future is coming. Walt Disney was there first with Disneyland, and then, of course, the company was there with their 71 train, and, of course, Seattle, because of the World's Fair, they put in this little mile-and-a-half shuttle, which is still there. So the irony is, while Walt Disney was first with monorail, and he tried to sell that to cities all over the world, all over the country here, the irony is when you look at the Monorail Society, look at the new book on monorails, you'll find out that the majority of the monorails are in China. So all the latest developments, particularly some really good-looking ones, are in Southeast Asia and China. So the only thing I can figure out is that democracy gets in the way of the future because various entities argue for years. In a democracy, one person wants to do something, and then there's a group that will immediately form an opposition group to stop you. But somehow in China, you can build monorail systems as long as 58 miles, and you get it done because in a communist society, the decisions are made, and then they just go ahead with the project, and nobody argues. So I hate to be able to say, why does monorail not exist? Well, it's because of political concepts in various civilizations.
All right. Thank you so much once again to Bob for answering another question on the show. And thank you to Liz for sending that question in. I really, really appreciate it. The monorail has been kind of a hotly contested topic of conversation in the last couple of months. So it's neat to get Bob's thoughts and his ideas on what happened and the expansion of the monorail. So again, thank you to Bob and thank you to Liz for sending that question in. Okay, now it's on to episode 111. It's a question I get all of the time in email and in phone calls and from clients and guests. And it is, what do I do when I am not going to the parks in Walt Disney World? What do I do on my non-park days? And I have to tell you, there are literally dozens, if not hundreds of activities that you can be doing when you are not in the parks. Here to talk all about how to spend a day outside the parks is a guy who seems to spend an awful lot of time in the parks these days. He's the man in charge over at theworldofwalt.com. Herb Leibacher, welcome back to the show.
Phil, thank you much. Always enjoy talking Disney with you.
Herb, it's been too long since I've had you on, and every time I have you on now, I say the same thing. So we got to make these a little more frequent. Maybe what's funny is I'm always like, I need to find a guest, but you're busy. Other than my, unlike my other guests like Johnny and Chuck and even Amy, my wife, who don't have anything else to do. You have like a real job.
I do have a real job, but I can always make time for this.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. So I see your videos all the time on Facebook, and you seem like you're in the parks. Seriously, like what? How often would you say you go now to do your live videos?
I try to do it at least once a week, and my stretch goal is twice a week. So I used to have a podcast just like you and realized, like you, it's a ton of work. So I tried to sort of switch gears to something I don't have to work so hard at, which is the Facebook Live videos. So most Saturday mornings I am in the park, and I'm trying to get another time during the week, and sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't.
So what's your I just want to really quickly so nobody forgets, what's your Facebook page again?
Facebook.com/World of Walt.
Awesome. So look for those those videos. I try to find you and torture you every time I see you online. As I was saying to you before we hit record, I one of these times I want to get you to do something really silly on camera, but you hide. I never see you on camera. I always hear your voice, but I never see you.
I figure nobody wants to look at my mug. They want to see what's going on out at Disney World. So that's what I try to show them.
See, I used to be like that, and now now you can't get me off the camera, man. It's a shame. People are probably like, dude, put the camera down. Show me Magic Kingdom or Epcot. But you too, you get like thousands of views on every video that you do. Do you ever get recognized or noticed when you're doing that kind of stuff?
I have, and it's both flattering and a little weird for me because I have never had someone who I didn't know walk up and say, "Hey, aren't you Herb from World of Walt?" And what will normally happen is I'll be at the exit of an attraction, and people will have been in the park and watching the live video.
Oh, wow.
And they know at some point I'm going to come out at that particular spot. And so they'll kind of hang out there and say hi. And to be honest, it's so unusual for me that sometimes I don't know what to do. And I've started to think, I need to stop and say hello and thank you and shake people's hands because I'm sort of flustered by it because it just doesn't happen to me. So I'm going to try to get better at that. And it's really flattering. It's honoring that people would take time out of their vacation to stop by and say hi. So, but just a new experience for me.
That's so cool. You're like a Disney celebrity now. You're like our friend that has the podcast that everybody recognizes that you can't meet in the parks because it gets bombarded with people. You're like at that level now. That's really cool.
I wouldn't say that. And you use the word celebrity pretty loosely, but I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, that's really neat. And yeah, I guess they just look for the guy with the camera on a gimbal walking out of the attraction.
Yeah, exactly.
You're pretty easy to spot. Even if they don't know what you look like, they're like, hey, there he is.
Who's that weirdo talking to himself holding a weird thing in his hand?
I do the same thing when I've done live stuff in the parks. You walk around with the headphones on and the hold the microphone up to your mouth like from your headphones.
Yeah,
and people know you're up to something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yep.
All right, Herb. Well, thank you again for coming on the record. And as always, yeah, everybody should go over to Herb's Facebook page and check out the videos and check out the Pin of the Month Club that he does over at worldofwalt.com. I just wanted to make sure I get those plugs in there before, in case I forget at the end, because sometimes I do. So yeah, Pin of the Month Club and the videos and worldofwalt.com. And you still write every day? You have to, or is it not every day anymore? I know you used to crazily write an article a day.
That's my goal too. Every weekday, a new article on the site.
Man, I don't know how you do it. That's a lot of stuff. All right. Well, thank you again for being here because I know you're super busy. So let's get into it. I don't want to take up any more of your time. So you're local, and I'm sure, as we were talking about before I hit record, you have a ton of these ideas of things that you can do on non-park days or days that you don't have park tickets. So when I sat down and looked at my list, I realized I could easily take a trip to Walt Disney World and not go to the park and be perfectly content. But I've been there a lot, so that's saying something. But as a former cast member and an annual pass holder and a DVC owner, I've been there a lot. But I really could. I think I could go and be happy just doing these things. So I don't know. Well, I'm sure you probably do that. You probably go and do these things all the time. So hi, it's Phil. Herb's not going to respond here because we messed up on this episode. He and I both made a mistake, and I'm going to explain it all to you right now. So here we go. But you know what? In all fairness, I'm gonna tell the listener how ridiculous this is. So is it okay with you if I tell the listener where we are?
Sure.
So first, Herb and I were talking last week about what topic we were going to do, and Herb got mixed up and came to the recording with the wrong topic. So he had to sign off for a couple minutes, and then he came back all ready to go, and we started doing our thing. And I forgot to hit record. So here we are to give you this actually, you got to be honest, because I would sound so insincere. So here we are giving you our best ideas that you could do when you don't go to the parks, your non-park ideas. And Herb, let me act like I'm surprised in your first one because I've already heard it. But you go first because the listener hasn't.
Maybe this time I'll do a better job than the last time. We'll see what happens.
You were great. All right.
But I'm still going to keep my same pick, and I'm going to go over to Port Orleans Riverside and a Disney legend, Yeehaw Bob. So Yeehaw Bob is an entertainer who's been playing the piano at the Riverside Roost for years. And if you haven't seen him, I definitely suggest you take in the show. Get there early because the seats will fill up. There is no cover charge. There's no minimum purchase. But a lot of people will buy a drink or they'll buy some food or even bring food from the quick service restaurant down the way. So Yeehaw Bob is a high energy entertainer who plays the piano and rigs it up so that he can kind of rock it back and forth and it doesn't fall over. He gets people involved in the show. You're going to get up, you're going to move around. He's going to embarrass a few people. He will stop by and say hello and introduce himself before the show starts. And it's just a ton of fun, interactive, high energy. And if you've never seen Yeehaw Bob, definitely check it out. If you can't make it to the Riverside Roost, do a YouTube search on Yeehaw Bob, and I'm pretty sure you're going to find some of his performances. But it is amazing to see in person. So if you are not going to the parks one day, check out Bob.
So I am one of those people that uploaded a bunch of those YouTube videos of his show because it's like that good. And I want to use it for whenever I'm trying to point a client to stay at that resort. I always say, like, listen, that is actually my favorite moderate resort on property, Port Orleans Riverside. I've said it 1,000 times, but his show is one of the reasons why I want people to stay there. Kids of all ages can go. It's a great time. Like you said, you don't have to buy a drink. It's not a comedy club where there's like a 2-drink minimum. But you're right. You have to get there early and get a table. I remember I went with my parents and my kids in November it was Thanksgiving week, so it was crazy busy. But we got there an hour early before he came on. We got there at 7, I believe he goes on at 8, and there wasn't a table already. There were no tables. So we had to wait in the back until one opened up. And he wasn't even playing for an hour. So yeah, his show's amazing. What he can do with that piano is incredible. If not the best free entertainer in all of Walt Disney World, he's definitely in the top 2 or 3. So yeah, great first pick. I like that you changed it up when you talked about it this time, so I didn't have to respond the same way as I did when we weren't recording. I appreciate it. So
Practice makes perfect, Bill.
Yeah, that was actually, I think that went better than the first time we did it. All right, so my first one, don't be too surprised there, at least the listener will be, and I think I did a little research, and I think it's because it's a little difficult to get over there, but it's at Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground, and it's a Chippendale campfire. If you haven't done it, it's a s'mores kind of campfire. You get to cook s'mores on an open fire. It's supervised. It's not just like caveman out in an open fire, but you do get to cook to roast your marshmallows or your s'mores. You can bring your own marshmallows and sticks, or you can purchase the s'mores kit from the Chuck Wagon Snack Bar. It does get a little pricey if you buy it through Disney, so I'd recommend bringing your own if you can. I know it's not always possible because you're on vacation and you might not expect it. And maybe it would be weird to bring marshmallows with you to your vacation, but I'm just saying, they might look at you funny, the TSA, when you have 20 marshmallows that you're carrying in. But anyway, you should do that. So basically you get there, you roast the marshmallows or the s'mores. Then a cowboy comes out with guitar, sings some old-fashioned kind of country cowboy songs. And then you meet Chip and Dale. You get photos, you get autographs. It's really a neat thing. It's free. It's at night. After that, you move over to the theater and you watch a movie under the stars. Sometimes it's an old Disney movie. Sometimes it's a newer one. It's just a lot of fun. And you can bring your blankets to sit on, watch the movie. I mean, you get your Chip and Dale experience. I know, like I said, it's a little difficult to get to, but it's worth it. So I don't know, Herb, if you've done it in a while. I know it's one that you've definitely done before. I hope it is anyway.
I have, yeah. And the fact that it's free and involves characters, I think makes up for the fact that the marshmallows are so expensive. But it's fun. You can kind of come and go. There's fire. I mean, there's fire. That's fun just on its own. So I do think that the Chip and Dale is a lot of fun. And you're right. It's it's not so easy to get to. So if you're not staying at the Fort Wilderness campgrounds, making the trek over there and then getting the right bus and stopping off is going to be a little bit of an adventure, but I think it's worth it. And if you're staying at the campgrounds, it's absolutely worth it. So I would check it out.
Here's what to do. You go to the early Hoop-de-Doo show, you get the unlimited alcohol that comes with the dinner, and then you're not worried about the trek over there. You just enjoy it. It's fun. Anyway, that's bad influence. Me being a bad influence. All right. Herb, you're up. What do you got?
Well, you just did the perfect lead in, because at Fort Wilderness, I could probably list 7 different things you could do. And I've thought about doing it. You could just take your entire Disney vacation, check in at Fort Wilderness, and never leave, and have tons of things to do and a great time. I had a long weekend there. We never went to the parks. We just stayed at Fort Wilderness, and I think you could definitely do that. The Campfire with Chip and Dale is a big one. And you just mentioned the next one that I wanted to say, because it's probably my favorite dinner show on Disney property, and it is the Hoop-de-Doo musical review. You have to like corny, but I am corny, and I love corny, so it's a perfect fit for me. So as you mentioned, Phil, Hoop-de-Doo musical review, all you can eat chicken and ribs. Okay, you're singing my tune already. They have a number of different drinks, but the show is a blast, and they've been doing this show, not since opening day, but for a long time. There's an interesting backstory about the Hoop-de-Doo musical review and how it came to be. But great performers, corny jokes, fun food, all you can eat ribs and chicken. So this is not a free event, unlike the first couple that we mentioned, but you get a dinner and a show and as much ribs as you want to eat. So if people ask me for a recommendation on a dinner show, there are a lot of great choices, but if they've never done the Hoop-de-Doo musical review, that's the one I point them to. It's got the same drawback as the Campfire with Chip and Dale in that you got to get to it. And so it's not so easy to get to Pioneer Hall, but it's worth getting there because you'll have a blast.
I totally agree. My favorite dinner show by far, actually. I totally agree with you. The one thing that I always tell people, if you're staying at a Magic Kingdom resort, if you're staying on a monorail line, it's not as hard to get to, because you can take the boat over and it drops you off on the dock at Fort Wilderness right by Pioneer Hall.
Yep.
So that's the easiest way to get to it is, and if you're staying at one of the other properties, take a boat to the Magic Kingdom and then take a bus or whatever to Magic Kingdom, and then take a boat from Magic Kingdom over to Fort Wilderness, and it's right there. That's the best way to do it.
Yep, and you get the bonus of the boat ride, which is also fun. That was on my list too, which we just sort of snuck it in there as a freebie. So I agree.
So and again, you're right. You have to enjoy the kind of the corniness of the comedy, but it's timeless comedy, and it's stuff that still works, and I love it. It's such a great show. Food is excellent. I mean, you can't beat fried chicken and ribs, and it has the dessert is so legendary that there's a song about it. Like, how cool can that? The Strawberry Shortcake song, Herb. I know you want to sing it. I want to ask you not to. No, I
edit that part out.
Yeah. He just sang, but we had to edit it out. I'm sorry. It was way too high for the microphone to pick it up.
It's copyright issues,
Yeah, right. That's why they stopped singing the Hoop-de-Doo song. Such a bummer they stopped singing that.
That is a bummer. I agree, but still worth going.
It is, and if you haven't seen it with the Hoop-de-Doo song, you don't miss it. You're not missing anything. But if you have, you're going to be like me and you'll cry several times throughout the show. All right, so that is a great show. I love it. My next one, and this is one, and again, this is another free one, and it's one that I've been doing since I was on the college program. Actually, before I did this, when I was senior week. Most kids, when they finish high school, they have senior week, they go to, a beach, or they go somewhere where their parents, don't know where they are. They're doing all kinds. I went to Walt Disney World on my senior week. That's what my friends and I did. We went to Disney World.
That's the way to do it.
Yep. And we did all the corny, family-friendly things that you're supposed to do. But one thing that we did do was we watched a game at the ESPN Club. And to this day, I love it. I love going there. It, like the Campfire, again, it's open every night, but there's always a game on, and they have 2,000-3,000 TVs, give or take a couple. It's just a great place to go watch a game. And any reasonable, like within reason, sporting event could be watched while you eat there. I mean, you don't get to see like LaSalle University versus the Little Sisters of the Poor, but you get, if you want to see Clemson play football, if you want to see, my Phillies or my Super Bowl 52 champion Philadelphia Eagles play, I had to sneak that in there, Herb. You get,
I was waiting for it.
I'm going to see if I can sneak it into every episode. Every person that likes the show that is a fan of another team will hate me after like 3 episodes. That might be the only time I actually sneak it in. But you can watch those Philadelphia Eagles who just won a Super Bowl, by the way. If you wanted to, just ask your server, ask your bartender. They'll put it on for you wherever you are. The food's really good. It's what you would expect at a sports bar. It's burgers and chicken fingers and boneless, chicken fingers and wings and sandwiches, that kind of thing. Did I say chicken fingers and boneless chicken fingers? That doesn't make sense. I meant wings and boneless wings. Anyway, the beer selection, again, is excellent and probably not what you would expect. They have a lot of local, Florida craft beers on tap and in bottle and can as well. So, and plus, if you go on a night that there's no big game on, like, say you go in the off season or say you go in the summer when there's not a huge baseball game or something on, they have a couple of radio quote unquote hosts that do trivia nights in there. And you have your chance to win stuff like, like ESPN Club pins or keychains or T-shirts. I always try to answer a question and try to get on. Of course I do, right? But I'm always the one, the pain in the butt on the screen with a microphone. It's like, oh, Phillies. That's always me. But it's a lot of fun. And if you're a sports fan like I am, it's a really good time. So yeah, that's my only sports pick of the list. Philadelphia Eagles 2018 Super Bowl champions. Herb?
And so I think this is a good pick for sports fans. But the great thing about it is that if you're not a sports fan, you could divide up and send your non-sports fans someplace very nearby that's still on the boardwalk. Because there are a lot of different spots on the boardwalk. An ice cream, pizza, brewery, you name it. So it's got the extra advantage of being close to a lot of other options.
That was a really good little segue. You're like you've hosted a podcast before, I could tell. That was really well done.
One or two. I wasn't even counting as one of my options. I just snuck it as an aside. So.
No, I know. That's how you can tell how smooth it is. That was really well done. I haven't tried the Ample Hills, it's hard to say, Creamery yet, and I've heard it's phenomenal. Have you gotten over there?
It is, yes. So you want to sort of loosen your belt before you go in there because the servings are pretty good and they're very creamy and rich, but they are amazing. And they've got this one, so I'll try to say it. She sells seashells by the seashore or something like that.
It's like a Bob Jackson song.
So yeah, the ice cream there is incredible. I mean, it to me is sort of Ghirardelli quality level, and it's. I think there are only a couple of these places around, and I think it started like up by the Jersey Shore or something like that.
Yeah, this is like one of the second or the third location they've opened, and it's in Walt Disney World, so that's really cool.
Yeah. I'm not sure who they knew to be able to swing a deal like that, but they did a great job, and it's definitely worth checking out. Yeah,
it was Iger's favorite ice cream place when he goes to the Jersey Shore.
Probably like, why do you put one of those down here?
All right, I think is it your turn, Herb? Yeah, it's your turn. Sorry, I got myself all confused there.
That's okay. I sort of snuck one in. So, gosh, there's so many. Okay, I'm going to do this one. So I'm going to head over to Disney Springs where there are about 17,000 different things you could do. But there's a little place which is a lot of fun to visit, and that's the Jack Lindsay's Hangar Bar. It's not a big spot. You could probably walk by it and miss it, but it's got incredible theming to all things Indiana Jones. So it's just fun to go in and look around, but it's also on the water. the names of the drinks match up with the theme of the restaurant or the theme of the bar. They have a little bit of food, but it's got sort of a cozy, unique feel to it with a look of the water. It's relaxing. It's a fun place just to kick back and hang out for a little while. And I think that's a little bit unique. I mean, yeah, Disney has a number of different bars around, but this one has got the advantage of location. It's got the advantage of theming, and it's got the advantage of having a lot of good options that they have on the menu. So if you haven't checked out Jack Lindsay's Hangar Bar and you're just looking for something unique and relaxing, that's something I would do.
So I love that place. I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan. Huge. And I would actually go the Indiana Jones trilogy over the original Star Wars trilogy. And that's saying something because I love the Star Wars movies as well. But when I go in there and I can look at all the cool Indiana Jones kind of memorabilia all over the place, and they have, I don't know how big of an Indiana Jones fan you are here, but they have these voodoo dolls from Indiana Jones and a Temple of Doom up behind the bar. And it's not even a real pivotal scene in the movie, but anyway, they're there, and it's such a cool thing to see them. And there's all kind of stuff like that hidden all around the bar. Yeah. I love it. And if I think so Jack Lindsay was Indiana Jones pilot from Raiders of the Lost Ark. In the beginning of the movie, when he is getting the idol, the gold idol from the cave, and it's I forget the name of the little people who chase him after, but and it's Belloc is the bad guy. He goes in, and when he comes out, there's Belloc there, and he says, these people they prayed or they worship this idol. Anyway, Indiana Jones gets away and runs to the plane, and there's Jacques Lindsay flying the plane. So the history of the place is that he settled down and he opened a bar where he used to have his plane dock on the water there. So that's kind of the theme of it. And I know that's a long story, but man, I love it.
Yeah,
I love that place. It's such a neat place. And again, if you're an Indiana Jones, dork, I'll be for real, like I am. You can listen to all the music and the radio and all the food is themed to Indiana Jones. There's like rolling boulder sliders, and the drinks are all themed to. There's like a Willie Scott drink and a short round something drink, and I love it. I could sit there all day. One of my favorite new places they've done there at Disney Springs.
Yeah, I agree. I think just looking through the menu is a hoot because of how they've named things after different pieces from the movie, and how it's illustrated in kind of that old style that matches the time period.
Yeah, like the 30s and 40s, and it's really cool. Oh man, now I want to go now. That's what we should do. You and I were talking about doing a podcast recording when I'm down in Disney World in a couple months. Maybe we should do it there. That would be a good place to do it.
We need to do a drink review, so we'll order one of everything that they have on the menu, and it'll be a business expense, of course.
Listen, I'll put it on I got the old Wells Fargo Black Card. All that means is business. It only means that I have a business card now. That's all. I didn't do anything to earn it, but I'll put it on there. I'll business expense it. Let's do it.
Yeah, warm it up. Let's go.
All right. No, seriously. All right, we're gonna figure that out. We got to get together and figure that out. All right. So I love that pick. I would have picked it myself if anyway. All right. So let me think of my next one. All right. Yeah, I want to go with this one. So this one's a little kind of off the radar, and it's one that I think a lot of people might not think about, but when I start telling you about it, you're going to think, man, maybe this is something I should do. And it's volunteer at Give Kids the World. If you don't know what Give Kids the World is, it's an 84-acre nonprofit, basically as a resort for kids in Central Florida that provides, I'm reading a little bit of this, so sorry, week-long cost-free vacations to children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. So they work hand-in-hand with organizations like Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they bring children and their families down for a week for free, and they get to visit the Disney parks, get to visit the Universal parks if they want, SeaWorld, all what Central Florida has to offer. And you can volunteer to help these kids out and their families out. You can, you can be the one that's at the airport that holds up a sign that says their name on it when they get to MCO. You could deliver a pizza to the room. You could hang out with them and play games with the kids. There's a night when the parents get to go out and you can hang with the kids while the parents get to have that, the one night out they haven't had out in months or years because their child has been sick. You can hang out with them then and just, it's such a rewarding experience. I used to volunteer for Give Kids the World when I was local. It's something that, again, is this something that's on your radar when you're taking a trip to Magic Kingdom or Epcot or, to go see that other park down the road that I think I already mentioned, but it's not on your radar probably. You probably aren't thinking about volunteering and donating your time. And it's just, it's not because the only reason you don't is because you don't know it's there and you don't know it's a possibility. So, I think the numbers like in the 20s of thousands of kids each year are diagnosed with a terminal illness. So they take thousands and thousands of people down each year to Give Kids the World. They put them up in like a little condo. The place is a little amusement park on its own. There's characters, there's restaurants, there's things to do. There's an ice cream, parlor. It's amazing. The only thing that now that's different than when I used to live there was that volunteering isn't as simple as it used to be. You have to do a little bit of prep before you get there. So go to the website. It's I can't say it. GKTW for GiveKidsTheWorld.org. You can fill out a volunteer application there. And, if it gets approved and everything goes through, you'll be able to volunteer while you're on your vacation. And again, you might not be thinking it's something you want to do, but I made memories there, and I know the parents and the children have made memories there that'll last forever. So it's a really, really kind of a noble and really, really neat way to spend your time. So that's my one.
Wow, Phil, that is a great pick. I didn't even think to mention it. I'm really glad that you did. So our family has and does volunteer at Give Kids the World. Like you said, it's going to require a little bit of planning if you're going to do this if you're not a local, because there is a background check process for the safety of the people who are there. There's an orientation process that you need to go through. But I used to think it would be sad to go there, and it's actually just the opposite. It is yeah. Uplifting to go there. I've delivered pizza on a golf cart. I've handed out golf putters. I've run the carousel. I've carried trays in the cafeteria. And I've run the little train. I've had an opportunity to do a lot of the different things there. And every time you walk away maybe with a new appreciation for the blessings that you have, and you can walk away encouraged. So that's not what I expected before going to Give Kids the World. But it's what you will get if you do it. So if you're able to take a little time away and work through the logistics, it's an awesome thing to be a part of.
Yeah, like I said, it's not. And Herb, thank you for that's awesome that you've gone so often. That's very, very cool. And it's important, I think, to show your kids and for your kids to see, to see you and to do something like that. It's very, very cool. But like we both said, it's not as simple as it used to be. But if you give yourself enough prep time and stuff, you'll be able to do it. And it's really worth it. It really, really is. So
yeah, agree. And you will find that the people who are at volunteer services at Give Kids the World are incredibly professional and will help you through the whole process. And I know they would love to hear from your listeners.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Herb. I didn't mean to bring it down. I don't want to bring it down. We got to bring it back up. That was exciting. It was exciting, and it's a fun thing to talk about. But I know it's not. It's kind of. You said it's something that you feel really good about when you leave, and I don't want people to think you're. It's going to make you sad. I agree with you completely. So I don't think you're going to be sad when you leave.
No.
So all right. So you're up.
Okay. So. This one, I think, maybe straddles park and non-park, but it's something that I really enjoy doing, and that is going over to the Grand Floridian on the patio and watching Happily Ever After take place high above the Magic Kingdom. So this is a spot where if you're not going to be in the parks, but you still want to have a little flavor of what happens in the parks, you can do it. And you can do it without paying to get into the parks, and you can do it without having to handle the huge crowd that is running out of the Magic Kingdom after Happily Ever After is over. So take a little trip over to the Grand Floridian. You can also do it from the shore of the Polynesian, and watch the fireworks from outside of the park. The great thing is that Disney pumps in the music so you can hear it. It's timed properly. You can't really see the details of the projections that are on Cinderella Castle, but you can definitely take in the full vista of what happens in the fireworks and do it without having to pay for park admission.
So I haven't done it over there yet. I've done the Happily Ever After from the top of the world at the Contemporary at Bay Lake Tower. And I agree. It's a great way to see it. It's really unique. The music makes it because you can hear everything that's going on. By the way, the music for Happily Ever After is phenomenal. I was really worried that I wouldn't like something as much as I liked Wishes, but I think I like the music more. The music's so good. Herb, I swear I just got to chill. Like I was like talking about it. And I just, you know how you get the goosebumps? I just got goosebumps talking about it because I love the music that much. It's so good. And but I completely agree with you. If you want that full Happily Ever After experience, you should see it from inside the park, because you miss out a little bit on the projections from seeing it far away. But man, you can't beat free, and you can't beat being outside the park and enjoying the music, and it is awesome. It's a great show. It really is.
It is a tremendous show. If you watch it from the Grand Floridian, the fireworks are probably going to seem a little off center to you, but the advantage is that you're right there by what's that quick service restaurant called where you can go and get a Mickey bar and not have to wait 3 hours to do it? Gasparilla Grill, yeah. And if you watch it from the shore of the Polynesian, you're more on center, or maybe a little bit further away. You might have a slightly larger crowd there, but you depending on what you like, you may have a better viewing spot. But I think any of the Magic Kingdom area resorts, Contemporary, Polynesian, Grand Floridian, you can watch the fireworks and have a great experience. It's going to be a slightly different experience, but it's still going to be a great one.
And as I mentioned, or I didn't mention, you can get yourself a nice little drink to go from one of the places and watch it as you're walking around through the resort. That's kind of nice.
Yes.
You can't do that in Magic Kingdom. So if you want to kind of have an adult beverage while you enjoy it, there you go. All right. So, okay. You know what's really funny is my next one. It's one that I'm never going to do. I'm never going to do this one. But I wanted to mention it because it's one that I've heard that people really enjoy. But forget it. I'll never do it. And this is headed over to Disney Springs and taking a ride on Characters in Flight, that giant balloon that's in Disney Springs. I've heard, this is all secondhand information, that it's an amazing view and it's so worth it. And it runs every day as long as it's not super windy in Florida, in Central Florida. And people love it. And they love going up and they love seeing, you can see as far as Epcot and Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, you can see really, really far when you're up, and you get like unparalleled views of the property and really all of the Orlando area. I've heard it's phenomenal. It's just something that I'll never, ever in my life do. But I've heard it's a great time. So I wanted to mention it because I know a lot of people go to Disney Springs and are like, it's just restaurants and shopping. But they do have little things like that are completely different, unique experiences that you can do. And it's, again, it costs a little extra, but it's not in the park, and it's an attraction that you get to do outside the park. But nope, I'm never doing it.
So is it a safety thing or a heights thing?
All of the above, man. All of the above.
All the above.
I won't ride Mickey's Fun Wheel out in Disneyland and California Adventure because of the heights. Like I don't like it. My kids rode it with my wife, who has the patience of a saint, when we were out there in July. They all wanted to ride, and they're like, "Dad, ride." And I was like, "Nope." I love you guys, but I'm not getting on that thing. and they went on one of the stationary gondolas. Have you seen the ones that swing on that thing?
Yeah.
Oh my God, forget it. No way. I won't even do this, the one that just goes in a circle. So yeah, it's the height thing, it's the control thing. And you're held by a tether. It's a wire.
Yeah.
I don't trust that. But you should totally ride it. And you know what's funny is I would completely allow my kids to go on it if my wife would take them. I know it's safe, but it's an irrational fear for me. I just can't do it. No way.
I can understand. I actually have not done it, but it's more the cheapskate coming out in me because it's kind of expensive for a relatively short experience, but I'm sure it's a great experience. And you go up pretty high. Yeah. So sometimes I'll be riding around. I'm a local. I'll be riding around well outside of the park. And you can see that thing up in the air because it's up there.
Yeah, it's really. I know when I stayed at with Saratoga Springs, whenever we stay over there, we stay at the Congress Park building. Just a little tip for anyone who's thinking about staying at Saratoga Springs: request the Congress Park building because it's the closest to the walkway to Disney Springs. But we stay there, and it's when you come out of your room, it's right there. You see it; it's right there. You get some great pictures of it. I love taking pictures of it because I've had some really good pictures of the balloon, but I'm not ever getting in that thing. So yeah, that's but again, I wanted to mention it because it's an attraction outside the parks. So I have one more left here, but I don't know how many you have.
Well, I think we could go for a long time, but okay, I'll pick my last one here, and I'm debating because I'm half tempted to go back to Fort Wilderness, but I think I'm going to go for something a little more classic. So one thing that is a ton of fun to do and is free and gives you a quintessential Disney experience is to ride the monorail. So you don't have to be staying at a resort. You can ride the monorail. There's no admission. You don't have to have a park ticket, and you can hop off and check out the resorts on the monorail line. You can take the Epcot loop and get a view into what's happening in Epcot, and you just get to experience the monorail. And it's an exciting thing to do. It's a free thing to do, and it's a very Disney thing to do.
So did I say I had one more because you just took it?
Oh man, sorry.
I was like, as soon as you started saying it, I was like, "You son of a!" No, mine was a little bit of a different angle on it. So, mine was the monorail resort crawl, and when I say crawl, I don't mean alcohol. I mean, because I know people do the drinking around the world thing at World Showcase at Epcot. Now, for me, that was a thing, and I'll be completely honest with you. When I was, I wasn't 19. That's not true. When I was 21, I was 19 when I was on a college program, and my roommates and I had a reunion there when we were all 21, and we did the drinking around the world at 21. And that was the last time I did it, and that was 18 years ago. I've never done it since. I know people enjoy it. Really, a couple things for me. One, it's the amount of alcohol that you consume in that, unless you take all day, the Epcot's open. It's a lot of alcohol. And the other thing is the price is outrageous if you want to do it now. Like, unless you're bringing in your own flask, you're going to be in trouble. So when I say monorail resort crawl, I don't mean that. I mean, kind of like what you said, get on a monorail. It doesn't matter where you get on. You can get on, I'd like Contemporary first. And whenever I've had clients ask me, we have a free day, what should we do? Especially if they have kids that are a little bit older that aren't, infants or 2-3 years old. I tell them to do this. And, like you said, you can get off and on wherever you want. So here's what I tell people to do. Here's the perfect scenario for me. You go to the Contemporary first and you play in the arcade a little bit. I mean, let the kids play in the arcade a little bit. Listen.
Well, you supervise.
I play in the arcade. You know me. I'm shooting. The little junior Papa Shop basketball. It's not even a full size. I'm on my knees with my son. We play that. Then we'll go play. What's great about kids now? They don't know pinball. So now I'm teaching my kids pinball. They think that's awesome. So anyway, we go to the arcade for a bit. Then get something to eat. Get lunch at the Contempo Cafe. Herb, you and I have recorded a show there. It's a great place to go for lunch. Great place to eat, period.
Yeah.
So get something
Check out
to
the
eat there.
cupcakes.
Yeah, the cupcakes. Wait, they have the wait, what cupcake are you talking about?
Well, they kind of rotate them, I think. They sort of bring in different ones, some of the seasonal ones. But
Okay.
yeah, any cupcake you eat there will be good.
I was thinking that for some reason the one that popped in my head was the Spaceship Earth cupcake. That's a really cool looking cupcake. But that, I don't know if they have that over there. But eat there. They have a great like beef sandwich there, and it's like a grilled cheese with what is it? Grilled cheese with some kind of beef or steak on it. It's awesome. Then so eat there, then take the monorail over to the Polynesian. Get off there. You shop. Grab a Dole Whip from Pineapple Lanai. There you go. Another thing that you can do. You can get a Dole Whip outside the park, which is very, very cool. Or better yet, go to Trader Sam's. You know, Herb, that's my favorite place. Get a couple of adult beverages. Then get back on the monorail. Take it over to the Grand Floridian and finish out the night. Ready for this? At Meisner's Lounge, where they have a salted caramel. I know people say caramel. I say caramel. I'm from Philadelphia. Salted caramel or caramel Manhattan. Okay. I'm into anything salted caramel, salted caramel. That is like my favorite combination of flavors in the world. So done. That is a great afternoon and evening for me. So I think I love your pick, but I had to we had to share that one because I wanted to tell you what I would do.
Yeah, well, you took it to the next level. So
Yes.
I agree with all of those things. And while you're enjoying your caramel Manhattan, listen to the Grand Floridian Orchestra.
Yes. But do you say caramel or caramel?
Caramel.
Yeah, see, darn right. It's caramel. It's not my wife.
I grew up in the Midwest. So
yeah,
it's
my
okay.
wife's from New York, right? So let me tell you a couple things. She said this is going to be I'm going to get some emails on this one. Instead of how do you pronounce? Sorry, Herb, I'm putting you on the spot here. How do you pronounce Berry?
Berry.
You say Barry.
Yeah.
See, I say Berry. She says Barry. It's just confusing. And I also say water, and I say caramel, and she says caramel. Anyway, we could be here all night talking about her accent. She always gets on me about mine, and I'm like, dude, you have an accent too. You just don't realize it.
Yeah, everyone has an accent.
Yeah,
That's right.
she's from New York. I mean, she's not like Tony Soprano, but she's got that accent. Anyway, Herb, this is a lot of fun, and thank you again for coming on. And I know I mentioned some stuff earlier in the show, but I want, if you can, tell people where they can find you and what you're up to and what you're doing and what you're selling. I want to make sure everybody knows where they can find you.
Well, thanks, Phil. So my website is worldofwalt.com, where most every weekday there's a brand new article about something fun in the world of Disney. Facebook.com/worldofwalt. Try to do some Facebook Live broadcasts at least once, sometimes twice a week. And if you want a little bit of Disney fun delivered to your home every month, check out pinofthemonthclub.com. Those are my plugs.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on. This was a lot of fun. Always a lot of fun and always a lot of laughing, especially today because we both, I can't wait to hear how this goes back together. I want to see how I can put this episode back together because this is a lot of fun. It's going to be like, I'm going to be like Dr. Frankenstein stitching an episode together. But thank you again for coming on. These are always fun. And I'll have you on hopefully a lot sooner than like 6 months or so the last time I had you on. So thanks again. You're the best. And I look forward to doing that video at Epcot soon. Or Indiana Jones, Jack Lindy's Hangar Bar.
Or both.
Or both. Perfect. Thanks, Herb.
Thank you, Phil.
And that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Ear to There Disney Podcast. Thanks once again to my friend and my guest, Mr. Herb Leibacher, for coming on the show. As he was saying, jump on Facebook.com/worldofwalt or worldofwalt.com to see what he's up to watch his videos, subscribe, to do all that good stuff. And be sure to check out his Pin of the Month Club as well. And just like every single week, I hope you really enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please do me a favor and just tell somebody that you know about the show. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell the Disney fan down the street. There's always someone that you can be sharing the show with. Maybe someone in that grocery store line that's behind you standing a little too close. You can turn around and say, hey, let me have a little bit of personal space. And have you heard of this podcast? it might make it a little bit easier to ask for that personal space. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. And just remember, there will be a new episode of the Ear to There Disney podcast each and every Monday morning, as well as a new episode of It's a Food World on Wednesday mornings. And if you're looking to connect with other like-minded Disney fans like you, like me, I have a Facebook group where you can go. It's called the Ear to There Pod People, P-O-D, People. Just search for it on Facebook. You can sign up. You can become a member. We'd love to have you. Okay, until next week, thank you again so much for listening to the show. Have yourself a phenomenally fantastic week. Bye-bye.